Bonjour, je m'appelle Metal Gear, and welcome back to Spa Francorchamps for a very wet round 4 of the FIA Manufacturers series. So we'll show you a little bit of the grid here before we get underway.
Oh shit, mate. In Manu, well done.
I feel like I'm going off like that, so yeah, don't problem.
I hope you enjoyed that little edition of Team Radio between myself and Jester. So, as you can see, we're starting 15th place in the Racing Beetle, and Jester is starting in 6th in his lovely blue livery V-designed Peugeot. So, as we get underway here, I have got traction control on for the first chicane because we're starting back here. I didn't want to spin out on the first corner, so we're just going to put on the traction control as we go through the chicane, and then as we get it straightened up, we will take it off, and we're underway here at Spa for this 13-lap no-stop race in the wet. Very difficult conditions, as you can see, as we go into turn 1, and Jester just misses his braking point, hits me from behind. I saw it coming in the mirrors, so I made sure not to add any steering in point, so we just went a little bit straight on. Jester unfortunately loses the position, and we managed to continue, but we have already fallen back a little bit from the group ahead of us. So we ride on board as we come down the Camel Straight towards Lecum for the first time, brake at the 150 meter board, very gently ease off the brakes and turn in, get onto the apex, and now look at our throttle control down in the right corner. You want to just be so gentle here until you can feel the traction, and then you want to jump on the throttle, build up your speed, because while we are here in the wet, Spa is still very much a track about maximizing your speed on the very long straights. So as we come through this downhill section, there's a lot of understeer around this corner, which makes it difficult because it means we have to apply more steering lock, and that just means we're waiting longer and longer before we can straighten up the car to get on the throttle. So you just lose a lot of time through there. And as we come now into the fast left sweeper of Pahoon, this is where the Beetle starts to become a bit of a better car through the quicker twisty section. As we jump back here and ride on board with Jester, as we see the Japanese driver there going off, and Jester picks up the position that he lost at the start, so he's back up in 16th behind me now. But as I was saying, last year we did this race also here in the wet, but the conditions weren't as wet as they were now, and so I actually chose Volkswagen under the belief that the Beetle would be quite good around here, but actually, as I come to learn, it doesn't have the best traction, and you'll see kind of later in the race. I'll show you how much wheel spin that we get coming out of the start-finish straight, and after the first hairpin as well. So we'll just speed up here, coming down towards the end of the lap into this last chicane, and as we nail the apexes here, get onto the curbs, and now we need to straighten the car up, and you'll see how gentle I need to be on the throttle. Others here can already get on full throttle. Even in 4th gear, we're experiencing wheel spin all the way down this front straight. It's not until really we get up into 5th gear that we finally get full traction, and then we're already braking to get down into 2nd gear, get as close to the wall as possible. We see that the McLaren has a little issue on the way out, but so do we. We catch the slide, but we just lose a lot of time on our laps there at that final chicane and at that first hairpin. So it's very difficult, so we're going to ride on board here as we come up a Rouge. Absolutely wonderful corner, still wanting to ride the curbs as much as possible, but you'll see that no, this is just actually has had a bit of a weak exit through a Rouge, and Sashimi, the Japanese driver who started last in the Citroen, is going to pull up alongside him as they come down into Lecum, and Jester gives up the position. So excellent driving from both Jester and Sashimi. Sashimi goes around the outside, very risky move. So we jump to the end of the 2nd lap now, and once again you can see that we are going to follow the McLaren through here, but the McLaren is even slower than us through this final chicane. He's taking it very cautiously. He has a little bit of an issue there on the exit, but once again we just don't have the traction to make any kind of forward momentum to take advantage of his own slow exit. So we come here into Eau Rouge. Once again, you want to get it as close as possible to the curb, get the car straightened up. You again see the McLaren up ahead have a little squiggle on the exit, and we're going to chase him, but it's just impossible to make any kind of progress. We can't get up in his slipstream because we don't have the traction coming out of these slow corners. The Beetle is very, very good through the middle sector of this lap, but just in the first and final sectors, we don't have that speed yet. So we're going to jump ahead now to a little bit later in the third lap, and you can actually see that Sashimi is now right up behind us as we come down into the fast left-hander of Pahun. And we're going to go around here. Just look at how great these cars look going around on the wet track with the lights and the windscreen wipers. It just looks absolutely amazing. Can't say enough as to how great the graphics on this game actually do look. And so as we come into the S's, this is where the Beetle has the advantage over a lot of other cars, but we see Sashimi has a little bit of a moment there and he's off into the gravel. Oh, this is absolutely terrible for him. He comes back onto the track and he's already back down to 18th place, back to, you know, the rear of the field. All of his forward progress has been erased, so I feel very sorry for him, but we're going to maintain 14th place for now and still chase this McLaren ahead of us. Once again, no, this is Jester is behind us in 15th, and so we've only made up one position so far after these opening 3 laps. So as we cross over the line at the end of the third lap, we do a 47.5 again, so the pace is quite good compared to what I expected. Jester crosses and he does a 48.0, so we're actually half a second a lap faster there than Jester, which was surprising because Jester was quicker than us during the practice, and at this point in the race I was, you know, slightly pulling away from him, so I think just nerves got a little bit better of him to begin this race, and he really takes his time to kind of ease into the pace, but he will catch us up. We do know that. So we're going to have a moment just following Jester here, enjoy it as he comes up over a Rouge and down the Camel Straight. So we're going to jump up ahead now and check in on the battle for 11th and 12th. It's 2 Japanese drivers. We're on board with the driver in the Lexus as we see the Mercedes get all out of shape going through Pahun, and this is going to distract the Lexus driver, and this is so easy to happen. You see the driver in front make a mistake, you're keen to get past, and it just makes you push that little bit too hard. So we see the Lexus, he goes off at the S's, the same place on the lap as where Sashimi had his moment a couple of laps ago. So we're going to sneak on past and get up into 13th place, and Jester will follow me through. He is now in 14th, but still a couple of seconds behind. So we're following the McLaren driver still. And we'll cut up now to the 5th lap, and we're coming through to end it. And we're going to see as we go across the line, we managed to do a 2 minutes 46.7. So that's the quickest lap I've driven so far around this track. And we see Jester, he does a 46.9, so we're just a little bit quicker than Jester at the moment. But yeah, this 46.7 was actually quicker than the lap we did in qualifying. So if we'd managed to do that in qualifying, we could have started up a few places higher and not been stuck behind this Japanese driver in the McLaren. So coming now to the end of the 6th lap, we skip ahead, and this time over the line we manage a 47.4. So now that we're getting a little bit closer, we've just lost that time, and Jester, he does a 46.8, so he is catching up to us. And this is what tends to happen when you get into the dirty air. You just lose downforce to the car in front, and it just makes it more difficult to get through the corners with speed. So as we check out through a Rouge, you can see the gap. We're managing to stay about a second behind, with Jester now catching up to us. And so this is where the McLaren is really able to stretch its legs and get ahead. So we're going to now just cut up to the 7th lap a bit later on as we go through the quick left sweeper at Bahoun, and you can see just how much we will gain on the McLaren driver. It's very visible, so I think we gained probably a second just through that corner alone, and this is now where we will lose the downforce as we get up within his dirty air, and it just means that we are going to be much slower than what we would be usually through this sector. I feel like at this point we're just really losing a lot of time. We could probably go about a second quicker, and you see how close we get coming through that right ender to end the second sector, and we're up a 10th on our best time so far, but like I said, I feel like we could probably go about a second quicker than what we are. And so as we come on board now towards the end of the 7th lap, you see the McLaren, he makes a little bit of a mistake, goes a little bit wide there at Blanchimont, so remember that for later, and we're going to jump on the brakes, and we almost run into the back of him because he's slowing down so much that he's having oversteer even in the middle of the chicane, but you'll see he just is able to drive away from us as we get onto this front straight, onto the start-finish straight. We just don't have the traction to be able to get up behind him anywhere near close enough to make a move, and now you can actually see just there in my rear view mirror, the left hand mirror, Jester's lights. So Jester is now getting really close to us, and we're going to once again, as we ride through a rouge, just check out the gaps between us. And actually the McLaren has pulled away again once more on this straightaway, and it's now Jester who's actually right up behind me, and now the pressure is going to be on. So I'm actually going to go on board with Jester, and I will be quiet as we enjoy this very pivotal lap from Jester's perspective using the new team radio feature.
We're gonna get past this guy, or this Japanese bike's gonna catch me. We've got to get past him. He's catching me so quick. And I had him at like 3 seconds until we got to this traffic. Gotta get him, Meta. Get him. Come on, this is traffic now.
As we exit Stavelot, the McLaren has a snap of oversteer, which means he has a moment off the track, and we're going to be up now in his slipstream and approaching Blanchimont, the quick left-hander, at a speed which we haven't been going before, so we don't know how fast we're going to take it, but we managed to get through there. But the McLaren, once again, he goes off the track. He's going to be wide, which, I mean, now I know he's going to have dirty tires for the chicane, so he's going to be extra slow through here. Are we going to have the opportunity to get past as we go on board now with Jester? And this causes him to take a much tighter line than usual, and this causes a snap of oversteer on exit. He catches it, but once he gets on the throttle, he loses it again.
My race is done. My race is done.
Absolutely gutted. At this point in the race, I was feeling so sorry for Jester because he had great pace in practice, and I think he was going to have a really good result, and I really wanted to complete this race with him, you know, side by side, but unfortunately the Spa gods decided it wasn't to be, and we can't dwell on it because now we have Sashimi behind us, and he's recovered from his earlier mistake, and we need to find a way past the McLaren up ahead, so we need to get our head down and just focus. So as we come through to end the 9th lap, we see the McLaren has a huge moment through Blanchimont, Tokyo Drift 4-wheel slide, which causes him to run wide on exit, and you can't see it because the on-screen graphics are glitching, but if we go to Puka's team radio, we find out that he's actually picked himself up a penalty, so let's listen.
Okay, we have now a 5-second time penalty that we will serve after the race. For what? So that will add 5 seconds to your time after the...
So 5 seconds, a little bit harsh, but as we exit La Source, we actually see that we're closer to the McLaren than we have been before. Penalty or not, we're going to be in his slipstream as we make the run down to a Rouge, but you look behind and Sashimi is also right up behind us, so anything can happen here. Of course, the McLaren in front of us is going to duck over to the right-hand side of the track to serve his 1 second penalty, so we're going to follow him, stay in his slipstream as much as we can so that we don't have to defend against Sashimi at the end of the straight. And as you see, we approach the penalty zone there, and the McLaren drops back. We've gotten up ahead of him, but he manages to stay ahead of Sashimi, and we come into Les Combes, but you see the McLaren, he runs wide and overshoots the chicane, and Sashimi is through as well. So we're up into 12th place, but the Hunter is now going to become the Hunted. So we're going to have to put in some hammer time to stay ahead of this super quick Japanese driver, as we just take a second to admire that beautiful shot. Really shows the elevation change on this world famous track, and for a brief moment there you can see the Mercedes ahead of us, so perhaps we still have something to chase. We still have a 11th place to go get, and as we jump down to the end of the 10th lap, you can see how much time we've actually gained on the Mercedes ahead of us. The Japanese driver PS Ito looks to be struggling in this end stage of the race, and we cross over the line and do a 46.0. That's over a second faster than what we were in qualifying compared to the Japanese driver who did a 50.2. We gained 4 seconds in a single lap over the Mercedes ahead of us, and so we'll just speed it up as we go down the Kemmel Straight up towards Les Combes, and you can see we're already 6/10 up on that time that we set last lap, so we are on a rapid pace now that we have Puka out of the way, and we'll once again jump forward now to the end of the 11th lap, and the Mercedes comes around Blanchimont, and just as the previous driver did in the McLaren, he runs a little bit wide and he's going to have dirty tires, and so we know that we can use this as a opportunity to catch up a lot of time, but actually the Mercedes driver goes off the track. He runs too deep and we get through at the chicane, so we're up into 11th place on the end of the 11th lap, and we're going to cross over the line and see that we did another 46.0, so our pace is really good. Ahead of us in 10th place is Twitchy GT. He might be a little bit too far to catch, so we're going to have to turn our attention to the Japanese driver behind us, Sashimi, and we have a bit of oversteer at the first corner there at La Source, and Sashimi actually pulls up alongside us, and at this point we just have to drive smart, race smart, not harder, and we let him through and just follow him over the hill here at Radalon and Eau Rouge, and we actually have a little moment there once again. So we will just skip forward a little bit here. We're midway through the 12th lap, and at this point we're just trying to stay in touch, stay in the slipstream of the Japanese driver ahead of us in the Citroen, and kind of what I'm hoping is that he might be able to use his pace to catch up to Twitchy GT, or at least put Twitchy under some pressure so that we can, force him into a mistake and maybe pick up a 10th or 11th, on the last lap. So as we come now to the end of the 12th lap, you see that we're still right behind Sashimi, but here has been our problem all race. You just see how much he is able to pull away as we just struggle with traction out of the final chicane. We do a 47.9, a little bit slower than our previous 2 laps, and again here as we come through La Source, the first hairpin here at Spa Francorchamps, and look at how much the Citroen has pulled away from us just in those 2 corners. It's probably about 2 seconds, so we're gonna jump ahead here to the final lap, the end of the race. We're going to finish in 12th place as we come. No, what is this? We have a yellow flag. What has happened? There is Twitchy in his Lexus. He is sideways. So let's pause and back it up, see what happened. Twitchy comes here. He enters the final chicane. Everything is going well. He thinks he's got a nice, safe lead. He's going to bank a 10th place. Gets a little bit of a fishtail out of that final corner. Puts too much throttle on, spins and hits the barrier. What an unfortunate series of events for Twitchy, and there we go, we duck past and pick up 11th place. So it was an absolutely exhausting race. You can see the finishing time is over 36 minutes. It's by far our longest race of the season, and it was really just incredible. So if you enjoyed that, please hit the like button, hit subscribe, and we'll see you as always next time. Peace out.